Hey, happy Cinco de Mayo.
Happy 5th of May.
What kind of made up holidays is this?
One for America, I don't know, because it's not like Mexico's independence that is in September. I've been to Mexico during their Independence Day. It's fun. They do like a huge
Really?
festival.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I
I thought it was today.
didn't know either until I.
Cinco de Mayo is a battle of some sort. I don't
Yeah.
know what battle. I don't know where.
Okay, yeah, and then, we're joined by Willow. How you doing?
Good.
How you
are
been?
guys? Busy painting all the things.
Yeah. We
Cool.
had you way back when we first started this podcast. We had you on.
2019.
Yeah.
I want to hear about some of the painting projects.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to say like what you're working on right now?
Yeah. I don't think there's any issues with that. So right now the Dam Bar has been going over like a really big facelift. They've redone all of the little boards that they had vertically for the last like 20 years. They redid all of the outside, so we've just been repainting like the lettering on the side. We repainted that. And then do you know the outside eating area with those 5 murals in there?
Mhm.
We're going to be repainting those as soon as the outside is done. And then there are 2 big ones in Bullhead that we're waiting on sponsors and confirmation. There's a retaining wall. I don't know what the bridge is, but it's just after the park with the bull.
Okay.
And there's like that little bridge that's there, and there's the retaining wall that faces the river. It's huge. Like I can't even guess at the square footage. But it's gonna be a big postcard style bull, like lounging in his little floaty with sunscreen on his nose, and it's Bullhead's slogan is Bullhead City, Arizona's hottest destination, I think. So it's gonna be like postcard style like that. There's just a lot that I'm waiting on. I'm just hoping that we get there before August.
So you get the approvals and everything.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. Right now, like in my house, I'm working on a sign for the Mutt Hut in Golden Valley, and then I have a wedding commission. So just lots of like little projects, and then waiting on the ginormous projects that I'm a little bit apprehensive of.
Oh, cool.
So how does that work?
Sounds
Like-
exciting.
Like, do you hear what they want, and then do you have to submit artwork to them, and then
Yeah.
they choose you? And then
That's so. If it is, so like the ones in Bullhead, it was opened up to multiple artists, and we all submitted something, and then I don't know any of the other people that did, and then they contacted me for those projects. Other times, like with the Democratic office, they just contacted me specifically, and they said they threw out some ideas, and we went back and forth, and we drew up some ideas, and then we painted it. It just depends. Sometimes it's open to the public, and then other times they're like, "We choose you, Pikachu," and then I go paint the thing.
well, that's good. And do you have your own shop here now?
No. So
No.
I don't have a shop.
You just operate out of your home. And
Yeah, my poor car. I opened my hatch this morning, and I had a little quart of paint spill. So the whole back of my car is like tan now.
oh.
I'm so scared to take everything out. I don't know. I don't want to see it.
But would you be able to do something cool in there? Since the paint?
Right.
Could you
I've
just
thought
paint-
about painting the outside of my car, but I don't want it to get all weird and peeled.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what would happen on the metal, and like driving around with the sun, I don't know what would happen. And I don't want it to look like those burnt vinyl signs.
Oh, yeah.
So if I could figure out like a clear coat, then I would totally do that.
Okay, so my day started off like this. Well, it didn't start a couple hours into my day. I, little break at work, and I check social media, and I see somebody posted alleged active shooter at Kingman High School.
So the person that I'm training for face painting, her niece was at the high school, and she messaged her aunt and said, "We're under lockdown."
Yeah. So the initial 30 seconds of panic that I had,
Yeah.
because they were saying like there was 30 police rushing to the high school. School's on lockdown. That's all I know. So I immediately knew my boys weren't feeling good yesterday, and they stayed home from school yesterday. So my first call, well, let me call the mom and see, and thankfully they were home.
Oh, good.
And it was about a good another hour and a half before they found out that there was no active shooter. It was a hoax.
It was a hoax?
Yes. But here's how it gets crazy is people start posting like, yeah, my niece is in the school.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that they've got the gun person in the gymnasium and somebody's been shot. Ambulances are on the way. And then it goes, well, now I heard there's 2 shooters. And then I'm like, just looking, I'm like going, well, thank God my kids are, they're not there. But then I started thinking about, well, all my friends that have kids are there. My kids' friends, they're there. And I'm just like, oh my God, what is going on? And then you go, wow, it finally happened here.
Right.
Because we hear about these stories all the time. Whenever Snow and I hear something, we text, hey, do you hear it happening here?
It's on the apocalypse bingo card.
Right?
Yeah. And like, how many times, I mean, it's got to be probably once every week, every 2 weeks that you hear about this happening somewhere.
So the last I saw on Facebook was that, and it was the update from MCSO. I didn't know if this is what you were talking about when you asked me, that there wasn't an active shooter. That somebody had thought they saw someone like walking around the school.
Right.
And I don't know if there actually was anybody. There wasn't an active shooter. Like nobody got shot. That was the last update I saw at 11:24 or something.
Well, and do you follow the Bee?
That's Facebook? Actually where I looked.
Okay, so the Bee is in this area. It's like a news organization that posts mostly on social media. I think it's all social media, but it's a social media news site. And after that statement had come out from the sheriff's office that no, there is no active shooter, kids are on lockdown, but everybody's okay. They posted a few minutes later, active shooter. And then ongoing investigation. I'm like, well, that's pretty irresponsible, to post that after the sheriff's office had posted hey, there's not an active shooter.
I wonder, so I saw that image and I wonder if that's just a stock image that they use for any of the stories that have to deal with this. But
the headline was active shooter, and I immediately copied and pasted the sheriff's update and put it in the comments. It was the first comment. And then they went back and they changed the headline almost immediately.
And they posted that after?
It was after the sheriff's.
Huh. Could they have screwed up?
They could have screwed up.
They were like, "Oh shit, we better correct ourselves."
Yeah, but a little while later, it was still under the title "active shooter." What they should have responsibly they said alleged active shooter.
So this all was there. Am I hearing this right? Like that? So a kid made a claim that they thought they saw someone with a gun? Or?
Yes, what it ended up being from all accounts,
MCSO
from as of right now, that some kid called in a claim of seeing a gun, which prompted the lockdown, which prompted the police being dispatched. And then apparently, from what I heard, the kid is in custody, or was as of a little while ago. Allegedly.
Right, to find out why they decided to say this.
Right. But my point being is, number one, we have this goes on all the time. And that I've never had that feeling before of, holy shit, it's happened at my kid's school.
Right.
And that's happened to our town.
So, have you seen that? I saw a commercial over the weekend, and it was really sad and kind of disturbing that one of the parents that their child died in Sandy Hook, got shot and killed, has now invented a body shield thing that goes in kids' backpacks. And I'm like,
Yeah.
How sad is this that he felt that he had to invent this because we can't just try to make schools safer?
When we were shopping for Anna's kindergarten backpack, those things came up. Like when we were shopping for her backpack way back in kindergarten, those things came up on Amazon.
Yeah,
it was like Kevlar
I was
backpacks
like,
for kindergartners.
What? Yeah, and they're pulling the thing out like it almost looks like a folder or something. Yeah, and it's like supposed to be bulletproof. Excuse me, it's supposed to be bulletproof. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This damn retainer. I get rid of my retainer. I can't wait till I get rid of it. It's like.
Well, the other point of that, though, is how, and this gets into, again, we have a serious mental health issue, why this kid phoned this fake threat into the school, number one. Number two, but this is a real threat. It could have really happened.
So, by the way, it said there was a 911 call in reference to a subject on school grounds that was waving around a shotgun, so on and so forth. It says there are no suspects in custody at this time. The investigation is ongoing. There were a lot of kids that were interviewed, and this was updated at 5:45. So there was a 911 call, but nobody is in custody right now.
Okay. And I guess in a situation like that, it's chaos, and obviously the parents are calling their kids to see if your kid's okay when you hear this. And it's like a twisted game of telephone, where you tell somebody something and, there's a gunman. There's a gunman in the gym. Somebody's been shot. There was two. And I don't really fault the kids because that's probably the information that they're hearing from their friends. Like, hey, what thing's going on?
I wonder how many of them start out as a what if this happened and the person hearing it just didn't hear what if.
Right. And then they're relaying that to their parents.
As fact.
Who relay it back to social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so it snowballs and everybody's panicking. And the sheriff's department obviously doesn't want to put out a statement until they actually know what's going on. They don't want to say, hey, it's all clear until that happens. Well, the superintendent and the sheriff's department said, yeah, no, the kids are all safe. There is no active shooter. That's the details they had at the time. But people were then saying, because of lovely social media, they're going, well, the superintendent is just saying that so the parents don't panic and rush down to the school.
There's so much suspicion.
People are so weird.
Well, that's the whole...
It's like they just automatically start conspiracies on it. Nope, the superintendent hates us wants us worried. I mean, is that what goes through their head? Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, the only one I didn't see was how it was Joe Biden's fault. I haven't seen that one yet.
I'm surprised that they didn't say that.
It'll come, but...
Like tomorrow to be like, turns out it was all President Biden's fault.
But that's the problem, though. Is like, if you cannot believe the official statement from the sheriff's department...
And the school superintendent. I mean, they're going to be working with I'm sure that's one of the first people that gets contacted when the police have to show up at a school, is the principal or whoever is technically in charge.
What's really hard, though, is in these situations where we need nothing more than the general public to believe authorities when they make a statement. Historically speaking, authorities haven't been honest. There's been so much widespread dishonesty and people being taken advantage of. Like, it's super, super hard because our government as a whole, our authorities as a whole have like dug themselves into this grave over the last 60, 70 years of just being super fucking shady.
Well, because they do it because they want to control everything and keep the people stupid. So yeah, like,
I'm thinking about like prison populations being tested on. I'm thinking about native populations being taken away from their families and like just so many things that have been super fucking shady. And now they're like, we really need you to believe us. And everybody's like, can't we though? Can't we?
Right, but I mean...
I think
I think since it's like a local matter, they should at least, I mean, unless they want to worry about their kids and be like, no, I'm not going to know until, I mean, I'm surprised there weren't a ton of parents running down there. I'm here to get my kids.
There were.
Oh,
Or
my
going there and
God.
showing up with their guns. I'm here to take out the bad. I'm a good guy with my gun. Here I am. I mean,
Well,
I'm surprised that there wasn't, especially
who
where we
knows?
live.
Who knows?
Listening to the rhetoric around here,
It's
surprising.
But I think in a situation like that, because I didn't know the scope of it, but all I posted was, hey, there's a rumor of something going down at the high school. Just want to let you know, Colin and Dane stayed home. Okay? And people question what happened. I said, there was rumors of an active shooting. Now, you choose your words really carefully. But then you get on, Facebook and everybody thinks those are the experts and goes, well, hey, I heard this. And
Well, and anytime somebody hears something that they don't want to hear, they just blame it on other sidism, I guess. Like, if they don't want to hear it, then they're like, oh, that's the liberal media, or, vice versa. They're just like, they try to look, it's almost like people don't even want to trust the news that they hear. Like, they're automatically programmed to just question it anyways. But I don't know why some of those same people won't question some of the shit they hear on QAnon.
well, yeah, I mean, it goes both ways.
Why wouldn't you be questioning all of it then? I mean, I look up stuff that, like, I'm reading and I'm like, no, that sounds believable, but I'm like, should still probably look this up to make sure,
I'm very careful before I actually say something. Before I'm like, let me make sure that's true. And I try
Not
to
even
look
on social media anymore.
I try to look up a couple different places. Different
I've had it
resources.
with the fighting, because, like, this country didn't used to be where people hated each other over their political affiliation. We used to still get along, but, like, now it seems like, oh, you're this, I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you.
Yeah. Willow, I don't think we talked about this. Like, after not Sandy Hook, Parkland, Snow and I wrote an op-ed for the Daily Miner, in the opinion, and because there was some local gun nut that instead of even saying, hey, it's a tragedy, maybe we should do something to protect kids while they're in school, he was going, this is why I have an AR-15. This is what an AR-15 is. This is what, and his cadence was, how did it go? Like, I want you to know, or something like that. And all these the things that people spout during after school shooting on a particular side. And we wrote back in the same cadence, almost, just fact to it. We want you to know that, We want you to know that we don't hate guns, even though we're on a certain political side. But we want you to know that at a time like this, we think like we should be addressing the kids and the tragedy before you ain't going to take my gun. That shouldn't be the first response on it. And due to social media, boy, did we receive some heat.
I bet.
Huge heat. There's never been an opinion piece that had that many comments on Facebook from the Daily Miner.
My thing, too, is specifically dealing with guns. There are plenty of other countries where you can be a legal gun owner in. I think a lot of Americans fail to realize that, but you can, and they don't have the tragedy that we do with the guns. I mean, so the fact that there's, that they're just like, no, nothing is on the table with us. We don't want to talk about any measures to try and make things safer because this is our freedom and blah, blah, blah. Other countries literally have that freedom. They just have more regulations to it. And they think in their mind, like, regulations means, oh my God, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose everything.
Well, and it got this bad. Like, on my Facebook page, it said, worked at, and they were making threats to come down and see me at my work just because of an opinion about it, where we didn't say anything about banning guns. We didn't, nothing like that.
Mm-mm.
But it's just that mentality. I'm like, oh.
My question would be, so sometimes talking to my daughter, and talking to other people that we might be having a tough time, like making a conversation work, whatever. So taking my daughter, for instance, if we are really butting heads on this one thing, I'll say, okay, let's not talk about this part. We still need to fix this problem. Like, for instance, if it's she wants to stay up later, but it's awful getting her up in the morning, and we're arguing over whether or not she should stay up later, right?
Mm-hmm.
We put that to the side. If that's out of the equation, how can I help you get up better in the morning? What other ideas do you have? So my question in the same way is, if we just put the matter of guns to the side for just a minute,
mm-hmm.
what are the other options? Like, for people who are deathly afraid that their weapons will be taken or they won't be allowed to have them, I get it. I dig it. What are the other options? What ideas do you have to make it to where I'm not terrified to send my kid to school? If it's not guns, that's fine. What else you got?
Besides more guns.
Besides more guns. What other options are there?
Right.
And I never hear those conversations.
Right. Whether you talk about why kids are doing this, the mental health aspect of it, and the bullying aspect of it.
Right.
And
there's just never big conversations either with political members or like big names. Like, no, there's never a conversation like outside of guns. It's only yay guns or nay guns, and that's it. There's never any other solutions brought up.
Right. Like, not to get too personal, but you had a situation where you found out your daughter was getting bullied.
Yeah.
And what was your conversation with her, and how did she approach you on that?
So she was telling us things that were happening, and we had been asking her, like, okay, are you going to the teachers? Are you telling them what's going on? And she said yes. And then at first it was other kids had been the target, and she had been like someone to step in. And then she started getting targeted, and she was being targeted physically. She wears these little ears to school, and it's a little headband, and I braid them in so they don't fall off. Well, these kids were trying to rip them off of her head, and they're braided in. So they were yanking her head. And when she's telling us these things, we went to the school. But you asked how our conversation was, and it was, we want her to know that it's not a lacking within herself. Like, it's not something that is wrong with her. It's not something that she shouldn't be doing. Healthy children don't lash out.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids that are hurting her are 9. I've never seen in person a 9-year-old lash out at another person habitually.
Usually when kids are bullying,
there's something else.
It's because they're like repeating what's happening to them.
Exactly.
So they're getting like bullied by older siblings or
and
their parents. Or
and that's
somebody.
what we talked about. That's what we talked about. We also talked about there were a couple of YouTube videos that the principal gave us that talked a lot about, like, if somebody's bullying you and they're like, I hate your face, and you say, that's nice. You're dumb. Everybody's dumb. Everybody does dumb things. Like, just really getting settled in yourself. Like, I'm not going to be mad about what they're saying. I'm not going to let them win this game. I'm not even going to play. And we've practiced that a few times since then, and it seems to have made her feel better. She's back to wearing her ears. She's back to wearing she has like a little clip-on belt tail.
Yeah. I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
Adorable.
She's back to wearing those, which I'm really relieved about, but it's hard. Like, there are no answers. It's 2022 and we still don't know how to deal with bullying.
Oh, well, I mean, nobody likes my suggestion, but like, I was bullied severely, and I would try that. Like, I would not say anything so they would like leave me alone, but that does not work. That
was it verbally or was it physically?
It was verbally. It wasn't physically. Mm-hmm. So that would make them, and I think that one's easier for kids to get away with. I mean, I think if they're literally like beating up another kid, eventually, they're going to get in trouble, especially with the teachers being like,
Well, the thing we ran into is every time that it happened, it was a substitute that was there.
oh,
And the substitute-
so the kids knew,
Yeah.
like, oh,
The
we can get
substitute-
away with more because it's not a regular teacher.
Right. And
Who
for
knows
whatever
us.
reason, the substitute didn't report it. Anna would talk to them, and the substitutes didn't report it.
Yeah. But, like, the thing with bullying, like, I mean, it's probably a good thing that I'm not a parent because I would probably tell my child, I'd be like, look, everyone has faults. You need to give these people a taste of their own medicine and make fun of them for something because that's what it comes down to. Like, to get them to shut up, to finally leave you alone, or else they're not going to. I mean, they don't. That's how I feel about bullies. They don't ever back down unless somebody finally does something to make them shut up or stop doing what they're doing, And it sounds horrible. You can't go to kids and say that. You can't say, well, okay, I know that they're saying these things to you, but you need to make fun of them back. But I mean, it's kind of like, everyone is dumb about certain things. Like you were saying, everyone has their faults. And it's true because no one is perfect. No one is perfect. And so, if they're going to make fun of a kid for the way that the kid looks, it's like, but nobody really has a perfect.
I think our goal for Anna is to, because my experience with bullies is they have a really short attention span. And if they don't get that feedback practically immediately, they're going to be bored with you. Right. So if you're not getting worked up and you're not getting like, well, you're stupid too, well, you're ugly too, and like feeding into it, they're like, you're fucking boring. I'm going to go pick on the other one.
Well,
it's probably better in public school too. Like I went to Catholic school and we had to go you had to go kindergarten through 8th grade and you could not get away from these assholes. Like you were in every single grade with them. Like you really grew up together. So there was no like changing of classes. Like there were no like 4th grade classes. Mm-hmm. So the kids would get moved around. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it didn't happen, but.
Well, that's also where I think as parents, especially with social media and how divided everything is, every single subject that you can find on social media, you'll have people, it'll just break down into a fight. And where I found lately, I just don't engage in that anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah, what's...
I know what you're dealing with on social media is just grown-up bullies. So it's like, I don't have time for this. I didn't want to deal with this in grade school.
But these kids who are bullying, they might see that behavior at home where, the dad is sitting there watching, just saying a certain news channel and getting all worked up about something and, type into his computer.
Well, they do because...
And then the kids pick up on that. And I think what you do is because you're behind a keyboard and you don't really know who you're fighting with, I think you lose that person-to-person thing. Like you can have a talk about politics with somebody and disagree, and it can be civil because you're sitting face to face.
And that's kind of like, that kind of brings back the frustrating thing for me personally, like when I look at all of these conversations about, I'm using the term conversations loosely, about politics, ultimately we have the same goals, right? Like we want our kids to be taken care of. We want to be taken care of when we're old. We want to be able to pay for our prescriptions and be able to buy milk at the grocery store. Like ultimately, when you boil everybody down, we all have those same goals.
And none of us like gas at $5 a gallon.
Exactly. And everybody in every corner of every conversation just seems to get so bogged down in the my way is the best way and that's it. And there's never just like with school shootings, if guns isn't the way that somebody wants to handle it, either getting rid of them or restricting them, whatever, super. What other ideas do you have?
Right, and that's what's lacking is there's no conversation because.
So how do we fix that? At least in our community.
I think that comes down to you have to have leadership that shows how to have a conversation. Like if you took, let's just say the names, if you took Trump and Biden and you sat them down and it didn't get reduced to name calling,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a civil conversation like way back in the day when, what's his name from Massachusetts, Tip O'Neill, used to sit down and have a beer with Ronald Reagan at the end of the night in the White House, and they were actually friends, even though they disagreed on everything. But we never have those conversations because it all boils down to, oh, you're fascist, oh, you Nazi, and every single thing. And you have stuff like the Oscars and, Will Smith getting up there and slapping Chris Rock. And it becomes, well, are you team Chris Rock or are you team Will Smith? And then you're fighting about that. But that leads to what happened a couple nights ago where Dave Chappelle was in Los Angeles doing the Netflix as a Joke festival. And somebody from the audience got up and went to tackle Dave Chappelle. Obviously didn't go good for this guy.
Why would he? Okay,
Just
if
wake
he
up in the
can't
morning and be
handle
like-
comedy, why go there? What? Why would
Right.
you even? So
They-
you bought a ticket to go there to purposely
they-
try to attack
they
a
think-
comedian?
They think it was because he was mad at the Dave Chappelle's last special. But he also had what looked like a gun, but it was a knife in his possession. Now, how did that get into through security? And that's another thing. But again, I don't think as a society we're like smart enough to go, well, hey, I don't like Dave Chappelle. I saw Will Smith do it. I wonder if it went through this guy's head. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to slap Dave Chappelle and go sit in my seat. Nothing will happen to me.
Clearly the guy has something wrong if he planned to go do this. I mean, he's somewhat all done there. I mean, when I go to a comedy show, never have I thought about bringing a weapon and possibly going up and challenging the comedian.
If I didn't like the comedian, I wouldn't spend the $100 or whatever it is for the ticket to go see the person.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, why would you spend that kind of money just to go prove your point?
And Chris Rock was there, and quickly Chris Rock came, to try to sell the situation, and just said, "Hey, was that Will Smith?" So I don't know. I think we, again, just as a society, we've just kind of nuts. Like this whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing. Personally, my opinion, they both have issues.
Right. Clearly, a human being would not just shit in someone's bed for the fun, like, unless you're into that, unless you're like one of the prostitutes that Trump hangs out with. But like, I think that was actually pee. But like, a normal person would not go and take a dump in someone's bed unless something was happening. I think both of them are guilty. And also like too, I don't really care about this situation. I don't care to hear about their.
That's the only reason I pay attention is for this podcast, because we got to be topical.
I know. It's like, I'm sick of hearing about it, though. I'm like, do I think that he should lose his acting career over it? No. But, I mean, I don't know how you recover something like this. I think it should have been a private matter, and then it wouldn't have been so bad.
I think the lawyers and the judges probably shouldn't have made it so public and kept it closed behind.
Maybe they want to make a name for themselves, though. Maybe they want to be like lawyers, like the O.J. Simpson lawyers, so they would constantly get work after it.
That's the one I was going to name. That was the first big celebrity.
I don't know.
Where the lawyers and the prosecutors, Kardashians came from that. But then what I didn't know was this had already gone to trial in Europe.
It was a different trial in the UK. I just read a couple of articles on it. I'm not like a specialist.
That's why we brought you here.
So as far as I understand, Johnny Depp had filed a suit against like the Sun it was like the Sun Post or something like that, because one of their articles had named him as a wife beater. And he filed something along the lines of defamation. And he brought lots of evidence. He brought their marriage counselor. Like, he brought a lot of, like, really legitimate evidence that was listed. And the judge still ruled against him. I think the judge ruled against him because of something like freedom of speech. I don't know. I don't know what the line is between freedom of speech and defamation. I'm not a lawyer. I have no idea. But,
well, that's probably what he's suing her for, is either libel or slander, because he has actually had a financial loss due to something that was either printed or said about him.
Right.
Yeah. Which he has.
Because she wrote an article for a newspaper.
Saying
and
he was the face of domestic violence. But
did not name him in that particular paper. But being celebrities, you all knew who she was talking about. I don't know. I don't know how either one recovers for it. But again, this is just another issue where we all take sides. And this one person was like, well, Amber's a gold digger. Well, no, he's suing her. No, she countersued him, but she can't be the gold digger if he's suing her.
The only thing that I've noticed is in the small clips that have been shown of both of them, like, just looking at body language and behavior and things like that, there have been quite a few. I would say between 6 and 10 clips where Amber is talking to somebody at her table or talking to somebody else, and she is looking happy or she's laughing at something, and then she, like, looks up and sees the camera, and it's like this shade drops down over her face, and now she's very sad, and now she's very morose and withdrawn. And it's the trippiest thing to watch. That's the only thing that I've really observed. And it really seems like Johnny Depp sitting at the table through the whole thing is just listening to the lawyers. And there's this one lawyer, like, he sounds like a parent. I don't know whose lawyer he is. I don't know which side. But every, like, 32 and a half seconds, I object.
Well, that's her lawyer.
Oh, I have no idea.
Her lawyer objected to his witness and to a question that he asked. And he was like, I object. He goes, how do you object? You asked me the question.
But that's the only thing I've observed.
She might be in trouble if she has a lawyer like that.
It sounds, from the recordings of her talking and him talking, it sounds like there's a lot of things that are still hurting them. No matter what's going on right now, like, there's a lot of things that they're carrying around and they're having a suitcase of trauma that are still actively hurting them. And I really hope they get a nap and a cookie at some point.
You know what I want to know is, like, he's been married before and dated. Have any of those girls alleged any abuse by him? I mean, that was one of the first questions I had. I'm like, did he ever beat Winona Ryder? I mean, we never heard about anything like that before. So I'm like, maybe he is telling more of the truth than her. I mean, I don't know. And I'm not saying that somebody couldn't beat one of their
partners.
Yeah. And not laid a hand on any of the other ones. I mean, maybe these two just really rub each other the wrong way. I don't know. But, I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't ask that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, celebrities are damaged people to begin with.
It's got to be really hard having everything that you do examined. Just being under a microscope 24/7. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, and having people outside your front door taking a picture every day, and you can't make a move.
Like, there was one article from, I don't know, like MTZ or whatever it is, or TMZ, and they were comparing what Amber was wearing and what Johnny Depp wore one day, and then what Amber was wearing the next day, and then what Johnny Depp wore, and then what Amber wore. And they were like, she's trying to fuck with him mentally. And I'm like, damn, do you not have a fucking hobby?
Yeah.
Like,
it
this.
was like celebrities who wore it best.
Oh my God. God! Like I
Who
can
was
just
the best person dressed
Well,
in
I
that
mean-
imagine
courtroom?
standing in front of your mirror, like, oh, I like this outfit, but what are they gonna say?
Well, I mean that's again that a lot of what we're talking about is the problems that we have as a society. Is why do we care? Why do we pay attention? Because I wouldn't know if somebody didn't tell me. I wouldn't notice.
To distract us from the shit show that is our world.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, Ukraine got pushed off the front page, since this trial started. So,
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we have other stuff. And quite honestly, we do this cold, so I don't really prep you. We had this thing with the Supreme Court this week, and how this one of
The
the
right
justice.
to safe healthcare.
Yeah, so they drafted this paper, and basically behind closed doors, they kind of get a gauge of would the Supreme Court be okay with overturning Roe versus Wade. This happens with
Everything.
This happens with
just
everything.
This long, drawn out discussion.
Yeah.
Ginsburg talked about it, like trading papers with other justices and like reading the explanation, and she's like, oh, I've changed my view and blah blah blah, and she writes it and she gives it back. Like that shit's been going on forever. Is this the first leak?
No. The original Roe versus Wade leaked before it came out.
Shocking.
So, but now that this got leaked, so you have one side who's all up in arms that it was leaked in the first place, and the other side is up in arms
About what it contained.
What it contains. Now, this will just briefly go back to what we were talking about, school shootings and how we can't have conversations with guns, because it's there in the Constitution. Because it's there. The Second Amendment says this: you have the right to bear arms, and all the thing shall not be infringed. Shall not be infringed. Okay, that's all you need to know. It's in the Constitution. Well, Roe versus Wade was found to be covered under the 14th Amendment. So why you can't cherry pick on these things? You can't cherry pick, what's in the Second Amendment and the 14th Amendment if you're a constitutionalist. Okay, you have to go by what the courts have decided this, okay? And the courts have decided before about gun laws. Okay? So we can't change that.
And okay, please forgive my lack of knowledge. If it is an amendment to the Constitution, does that make it just as much a part of the bedrock of
Yes.
the original Constitution? If it's an
Yes.
amendment, like
Yes.
it's just as
Yes.
Yeah, they left a clause for amendments so that it would be able to...
so it would be the living document.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, so it can be amended to fit whatever is going on.
Well, because technically, if they're going to go that route, isn't the Second Amendment also an amendment? I mean, if they're going to try to say that we're with the original
that's what I'm saying.
Constitution...
If you're saying that Roe versus Wade isn't covered under the 14th Amendment.
Because the actual Constitution is, without the amendments, is only like a paragraph long. The actual Constitution. If you look up what does the actual Constitution say? I looked it up one time, a long time ago, because I knew some people who were arguing that very same thing, and it's like, but these are amendments to the Constitution. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that's why I don't understand her whole thing.
And
Can you pass me that?
And what you're debating is actually the wording of the amendment, like shall not be infringed.
But okay, fine. It also says well-regulated militias,
Right, yeah.
and I was told that meant that was before the Second Amendment was made, and the well-regulated militia was before we actually had a military.
Right, but
So-
those exact
Militia is military.
those exact words though, well regulated. That means there's regulations on that amendment.
Right.
So that means you could technically put regulations in
So
place.
why are they so against regulations?
Because it's playing to your party base.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about what people want. It's all about selfishness.
Now,
It's not about what the rules are.
No, I saw some statistic like 70% of people, no matter what political party you're affiliated, support Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, because not to be rude, but the planet does not, it's not in dire need of more people. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole, but if someone is telling you from the get-go that they don't want to bring another person onto the planet, I think we should just go ahead and listen. Like, okay, that's what they have to deal with. And all these people who are like holier than thou, it's like, but if you believe that God is the final judgment, what are you sitting here doing God's work for? You know, I always like went off on one of my tangents, and I'm like, I wonder if when these people go to visit Peter at the pearly gates and then God has to judge them before they're allowed to come there, I wonder if some of them get bitch slapped, and he's like, that's for trying to do my job all the time down there, and you weren't supposed to be doing that. Like, that wasn't the point. It was like, what about love thy neighbor? What about all that?
Well, I mean, there's one right there. Love thy neighbor. And
Right. So
I mean,
you shouldn't be worried about your neighbor all the time.
I mean, and again, something that gets lost in the conversation is just because we're pro-choice doesn't mean we're pro-abortion, right? I mean, it's not like we go, kill those babies. We're not like that. But if the woman has a right to choose what she does with her body, okay? The same thing with wearing the masks last year, 2 years, fuck, however long this has been going on.
Yeah, why aren't those people that they stole
My-
and hijacked the
My
phrase?
body, my choice.
They stole and hijacked the phrase, my body, my choice. Okay, then I'm glad to see that you finally came around. I hope that you act like that when it comes to matters
See
like
you
Roe
at the
versus
protest
Wade.
for Roe versus Wade.
Like,
Just bring that
Yeah.
poster. You've already got it made. It's fine.
I know. Like, come on.
Yeah, if they want,
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard. Talking to Anna about these things, especially being involved with Pride. It's hard to explain what a really long moment in history she's growing up in. And obviously she's not going to understand the full weight of it, but that's why things like Pride are so important. That's why podcasts like this are important, because these conversations have to be had. And I turned 30 in December. I'll be 30 in December. And I don't remember a time before all of this. Like, it's always been a shit show. But I talk to people who are like 40, 45, 50, and apparently it hasn't always been like this.
The division hasn't been as bad.
And I don't know what to tell Anna. I don't know how to explain these things. I don't know, if this is overturned, what is next? What else will be overturned?
Well, I think we know where we're getting at. I mean, it's same-sex marriage is
That's
going to
what
be
I'm
on.
saying.
It's going to be on the table. It's going to be.
All of them. They want to make
I feel like we're right back
interracial
to
marriages will be
1950s.
up for
I feel like we're right back to the
overturning
1950s.
too.
Right, and now,
But this is coming from the side who was supposed to be the party of freedom. Don't they scream freedom all the time? Then why do you want to take away other people's freedoms that they have? I don't understand it.
I don't see, like, at the end of the day, if someone chooses to get an abortion or not, how does that affect my life? Doesn't.
I know.
Same-sex marriage, how does that affect my life? Doesn't. Well, what do I want from what do I want? Yeah, hey, I want cheap health care.
Do they just want
I
to?
want my kids to be healthy.
Do some people just
Happy.
want to feel like they belong? So they're like, oh, I gotta get in there, and I gotta pick a side. I gotta get in there and share my voice.
Isn't it interesting though? Is if you're leaning to the left or the right, no matter what the issue is, you go with that and you don't question it. Like in my head, I've had that question about abortions and going, okay, well, how do you feel about this? Because I'm not pro-abortion.
But you're also not pro making that choice for millions of other people.
Right. Yeah, because it's not my choice to make.
Like, I'm not even eligible for an abortion. I mean, I don't even have a uterus. I had to get a hysterectomy a while ago, but I'm like, but I still find it so important that women are allowed to choose if they want to do that or not, if they want to bring another life in or not. And I don't understand for the life of me why we're not coming down, why more women aren't flipping the script and being like, look, there is only one way for us to get pregnant. So you men actually have the control. Honestly, you actually have the control at first. Is it going to have to get down to the point where before a man and a woman have sex, they're going to have to come to an agreement, and a woman's going to have a contract and be like, look, I'll have sex with you, but I really don't want you depositing into my bank. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, how are there so many grown-ass adults who forget how women get pregnant?
And for the legal system, as soon as a woman gets pregnant, is that when child support begins?
Yes, it should, according to what they're doing.
According to law.
But there's all these lawsuits that are flying around. It's like, fine, are women allowed to start suing men then? Because they're like, look, I wanted to have sex with you. I did not want you getting me pregnant. So are they allowed to sue for this $10,000
for the misuse of sperm?
Yeah, this finder's fee. That's how it is in like fucking Texas, where it's like, if I find out anyone that tried to help this woman go take care of her problem, you can sue them for $10,000. That's stupid. Yes, let's have more frivolous lawsuits. That's what we need.
I don't know.
That it's just, when I hear stuff like that, I'm just like, oh my God, it's been so long since people have been in 5th grade sex education class, because they are really forgetting how they act. They're talking like women just wake up one morning and the hand of God had came down and touched their belly and put a baby in there, and oh my God, now this horrible woman wants to kill this baby that came from God. That's how they make it sound.
This brings me back to when my kids were really little, and my youngest was only 1 when Obama got elected, and I was like, wow, my kids are going to grow up in a world of change, a world without hate. Right? We can change. And who would have thought, I was that naive in 2008, that we would be where we're at today? Even 4 years ago, let's go 2016. Yeah, let's go to that point. 2016, let's say, was the turning point where, did you really ever worry about Roe versus Wade getting overturned? Did you really worry about gay marriage getting overturned? It wasn't really even a thought in my head at the time.
I thought we wouldn't waste so much time going back in time to try to do things differently, and that the object of life in general was to progress, to move forward.
Well, but when the campaign slogan is "Make America Great Again," that kind of...
Right, but what exactly are these folks talking about?
It's the 1950s white picket fence, 2.5 kids.
Yeah, I know, but if you look at most of the people who are left, most of the people who were crying for the 50s to come back were either just being born or not born yet. Because, my mom was not born until 1954. My dad wasn't born until 1950.
Because if you're born in the 50s, now you're in your 70s.
So, yeah, what in the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, I don't understand anyone who was... I mean, And then it's like, if we're going to go back to the 50s, then cool. Why don't we bring back those tax brackets?
When you were
So
paying
that the
84%
country,
taxes?
so that you did actually have the billionaires paying their fucking taxes fairly. Then let's talk about all of
That's an
it.
interesting point there.
They don't,
Can we bring the
they're cherry
1950s
picking.
gas prices too?
Oh, that would be great.
Well, yeah, what was it, like
But-
20 cents a gallon?
But we were making 30 cents an hour.
Right.
So there's that issue. But you could have a single income family, raise a family, and have the American dream and have a house and afford a car. So there is that point. I get that point.
If you were white.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's that whole thing.
Because there was
And
still
male.
segregated
Yeah.
schools. I'm like, is that what they're talking
Because
about?
you
They
still-
want to go back to segregation?
We still, like, if this is the goal, if this 1950s, like, Leave It to Beaver, the Andy Griffith Show, like, this romanticized apple pie time period, it's only romanticized in apple pie if you were white cis male. We would have had to have permission to have credit cards. We would have had to have permission to have anything in our name.
You had to have, okay, one of the radio shows that I listened to, a woman called in and was talking about, it was in the 70s, and her husband had decided that she wanted to get her tubes tied because they had already had the amount of children that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They had to call him, pull him off of his job to come in, because he worked at a job site, construction, had to have him come into the office, had to have a witness on the phone that he gave his wife permission to be at the doctor's office that day to have this procedure done to her body.
There are still places in the United States right now that you still have to have permission from your spouse to
I'm
get your
sure-
tubes tied.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean,
Or have your name changed. You also have to have permission from your spouse to have your name changed. Because I just did that. I just went through all the paperwork. And still, at this point, 2021, there's a little line that says, does your spouse agree?
You're kidding.
No. I fucking wish I was.
for you to have your name changed to their name?
No.
Their last
for my
name?
first name to be changed.
For your first name to be
It's
changed.
all on the same piece of paper.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Have to have
What if you don't have a spouse?
well, that's my case. I just said NA.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
But yeah. If you are married, you have to have your spouse's permission to change your motherfucking first name.
You hear that, Arizona? Holy shit.
I just like
so it's like, in a way, we're still in the 50s. Maybe some of you should
Yeah.
just pay more attention and you can
I
have
saw
all
this-
the controlling things.
I saw
that-
this shirt recently that is just like it encompasses my whole mindset right now. And I'm trying really hard not to fall into it much further, but it said if you're not angry, you're not paying attention.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
I don't know how to raise a kid in this. Like I don't know how like
I don't know. I love my kids. Best thing that ever happened to me. But I constantly question, was that the best thing?
right. Yeah, I'm not making any more from scratch. Mm-mm.
No.
I want to foster, but I don't want to make any more from scratch.
Both of my kids, they kind of don't want to have kids of their own. I'm like, good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what Anna
Good.
said. She wants to adopt too.
Sweet.
And it's hard. Like it's super hard when everything that is loving and supportive and like you want to be there for people that need it, now it's being outlawed. Like Louie and I talk about fostering and the laws that have been passed recently. Even in Arizona, there have been 3 anti-trans laws passed in 2022.
Right.
We don't even know if we want to focus on siblings and LGBT kids because it's harder for them to be placed.
Right.
We don't know if by the time we're ready to foster, if we'll even be able to foster those children. Will they even be able to identify themselves? Or will it be illegal?
I know. What are they? Like, with all these laws, what are their plans what are they going to do with the kids, though?
That's an interesting point, and we'll get to that in just a second, but to tie that back to the Roe versus Wade and, hey, life starts at conception, all lives matter, then ask the same people where they stand on welfare, the foster system. Do they contribute? When
was the last time they volunteered in their local school?
Exactly. If life is that important to you, you would support the system to support these kids. Which if they did, I could probably almost get behind it.
Right. If there was something like, we're not going to allow abortions, but we will help you every step of the way. You have a child that you're not able to care for because you're 8 miles below the poverty line, we'll help you. If this was a result of rape, we will help you. If you got pregnant and it causes you such terrible body dysmorphia because your gender is not aligned with our society's baby-carrying gender, we will help you. Like, it's not just you make the baby and you grow it. There's so many things.
Right. So it's basically life starts at conception, but
our shits quit as soon as it pops out.
At birth, you're on your own.
We don't care.
And also, if you care about life,
you're born, go get a job, take care of yourself. And if you care about life and God, again, I'm not a religious guy, but just for the sake of this argument, God.
For those of you listening, he's gesturing wildly at the ceiling.
Yeah, God. God does no borders. So if you're for all lives, that means you're for lives across the border too. And maybe they're coming here to have a better life so they can also.
I think that a lot of these folks, though, think that Jesus was
white
and American. And just,
And
you can't tell them otherwise. They have
back when I used
a specific ideal about it.
Back when I used to fight on social media, I would always end the fight, and I never had anybody clap back at me. I said Jesus would be a progressive.
There was somebody that I was talking to. They were upset with me for one of the classes that I was teaching. Because it was one of the painting classes and we were going to paint Hex the Patriarchy. And this person was super upset because they felt that it was, like, religiously inappropriate. And I said, okay, I can understand that, but that's a very slippery slope because I know in one of these other businesses that you're involved in, there is a painting of pasty Elmer's glue Jesus hanging in there. And this person was like, okay. I heard the hitch in their giddy up. And I said, Jesus was brown. That's not appropriate. It's not appropriate and it's not religiously accurate. And they're like, well, a very important family member of mine painted that. Sorry, broski. It's not appropriate.
Yeah.
If you don't like these religious things, you gotta look at your own.
And technically, Jesus would be a communist because he was that everyone should share.
Well, true.
And they would not want to hear that one.
No one would want to be hungry.
Yeah.
And
that's a fun sentence. Jesus was a communist.
He would. I mean, he would have been.
I can see the T-shirts.
I think that's gonna be the title of this podcast. You're gonna guess a lot. Jesus was a communist. Episode 99.
He would have been if they would have had the different isms.
I wish it could be 666. That's the only way it would have been better. Episode 666.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, damn. Snow, you stumped me there. So we'll talk about this more in the next podcast. And I think, we're going to have you on episode 100 again. And we'll talk more about the Pride. But the one thing that I never felt more proud about this community here in Kingman was during Pride 2019. And the turnout was, 3,500?
It was 26.
2,600, okay.
2,600. And we weren't told to expect more than 500 because it was a first-time event.
I didn't think that's what I kind of went into it like 500. Okay, cool. You know, I thought it would just be our little group of like-minded friends and maybe a few outliers. And I was so surprised. I was never so proud. I left there just like going, oh God, this makes me feel so much better about this particular place. And how did you come about organizing that or helping to organize that?
So in 2018, my sister Josephine and I went to a pride that was kind of close to us geographically. I don't want to name it because it sucked. It was billed as a family event and it was not. There was nothing for the kids to do. It was very poorly organized. And I'm like a heavy duty DIYer. If I don't like something, I'm just going to do it my damn self. And we were so disgusted and frustrated with this Pride Festival that we went to. We went to breakfast the next morning and we were like, we left early is what I was going to say. We left early and we went to breakfast and I was like, we could do it. We could make our own. And Josephine's like, what are you fucking talking about? No, we're not making a but we could. But we could. And so we started talking to people. Like, I've been a vendor at a bunch of festivals, so I knew, like, the background. I knew the bare bones of what we would need to make an actual festival work. And it was the craziest, like, thinking back about how everything kind of happened. I don't even know how we found everybody. Josephine knew Joe Fellers, and we knew that Joe Fellers knew fucking everybody.
Right.
And he started putting the word out for, like, music, and the Swillers got involved. And so Josephine and I had just gotten back into town, and we were in the Big Lots parking lot, and we were talking about it, and she was still, like, super on the fence. And I was like, well, we'll just talk to Joe, right? And we pulled into the parking space, and we saw Joe walking across the parking lot, and I was like, perfect timing.
There is a God.
Yeah, no shit. And then we started having meetings. I don't remember how everybody else got involved. Ronnie and Gideon. I know that Taylor messaged. We made a Mojave Pride Facebook and we made a Mojave Pride email, and Josephine and I just made it up as we went. And then we had a gal, Jenna. She handled all of the legal paperwork, and we wouldn't be a 501 without her. Like, I don't know what the hell any of that means. It's a lot of government paperwork. I can barely fucking do my taxes. I have no idea. And the day of the event, Josephine and I were in the park watching the first tents go up. And this is after months of hearing people's stories when they came to the volunteer meetings. Like, there's one gal, Bridget, yeah?
Yeah.
Bridget was at one of the meetings, and she said that she had been so close to moving, and the only reason that she stayed was because of Pride.
Yeah.
We heard so many stories like that. Like, so many people felt like they didn't have a home, that they didn't have a family, that they didn't have a safe place to go, and then they heard that we were doing Pride.
Yeah, well, a little bit of my background is my kid's half-brother was bisexual. And he was kind of a flamboyant kid, and that obviously doesn't go over good in this town.
Right.
And he was kind of an outcast, and this was before Pride. This is 2016 or so, and he ended up talking to people online and met somebody online and ended up moving to Illinois. And obviously that didn't work out. You know, you meet somebody and, hey, I'm going to move halfway across the country and go.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? It went wrong. And
but is he okay?
no, he committed suicide. because of a failed relationship. And he didn't want to move back to Kingman. And so that's, I think, where when Pride happened, how I felt was like, wow. God, I wish it was like a couple years sooner that this has happened. So thank you for organizing that. Yes.
We are exhausted and we're frustrated. And sometimes we don't even know what to do or how it's going to work out. And it feels like we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and fucking praying something that sticks. And then we hear things like that. And we can't just sit and do nothing.
Yeah, and, then in 2020, it looked like it was going to be bigger and better than 2019 because it was the event center down in Laughlin. Mm-hmm. They call it the Toyota Fieldhouse or something like that.
It's the Anderson Ford Fieldhouse in Bullhead.
Okay, Bullhead. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is going to be bigger and better. And damn COVID came and wiped that out.
So it still is bigger and better than 2019. We have 2 days instead of one. And I think at last count, Ronnie scheduled like 7 or 8 hours of drag over the 2 days, including, there's local queens and kings that'll be performing, just like 2019. And from now to the foreseeable future, as long as I'm involved, it's 100%, no exceptions, family friendly.
Yeah.
Because there are so many kids that don't have a safe space. Mm-hmm. And we don't want there to be any question about the safety of this festival, that they will be loved, that they will be welcomed.
Well, and to also compliment you, like there was in 2019 there was a drag show over at Blackbridge Brewery,
and there will be again.
Okay,
and a barbarista crawl.
My kid's half brother, his mom went to that drag show over at Blackbridge, and she said that was the best night she ever had in Kingman.
I'm so glad.
So, not to bring down the mood,
No,
because
these are names and these are stories and these are reasons why these laws are so damaging, why these festivals are so necessary. For every person screaming that Roe versus Wade should be overturned, there's a person who was injured because of unsafe abortions. There's a person whose life was irrevocably altered because of having an unwanted or an unsafe or whatever pregnancy. For every person screaming that trans children should be banned from sports, there's a child that got to go to their very first swim meet and felt like they belonged. For every single anti-trans law, there's a little kid that's going to come to our fucking festival wearing their rainbow cape and smiling for the first time. We had security guards that worked at the schools, and they came up to us and they were like, I've seen that kid, and that kid for the last 3 years, and I've never seen them smile until today. I don't know of a better place that I could have possibly landed in, where you get to plant the seed and then immediately see it grow.
Yeah. I think because on this podcast we rag about this area a lot, and I think that seeing the turnout for that, you don't realize how many really good people you tend to see the haters because they're the loudest on social media and stuff like that, and maybe they show up and they're driving around with their big trucks with the FU flags on the back of them. But then you see the community come together, and what's awesome about it is you see the counter protests that are held in kind of the same area down there, and you see the crowd is nowhere near the same size. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And going, wow, I think really good people are in the majority. I think the majority of the people around here, if we took a poll, they would support Roe versus Wade. They would support same-sex marriage. I think and I think it's just a very vocal minority, like the ones who, while you're promoting this Pride coming up, you see them and they're complaining about, well, I don't want my kids exposed to this drag show. Well, don't take your kids to Pride weekend. It's kind of simple. Okay.
And so with that, we've been talking about as a group, there's a lot of lack of education because just the sentence, we don't want to expose our children to this drag show. The drag show at the park, that was me, sorry. I'm buzzing. Okay. The drag show at the park is family friendly. And the lack of education comes from people not understanding that drag just means dress up. It just means dress up. It doesn't mean something sexual. It doesn't mean something obscene. It doesn't mean those things. Just drag itself is just dress up, which we do all the time. All the time. There's crazy red carpet outfits. There's crazy makeup in music videos. There's crazy ways of dressing up all the time. So we've been really trying to figure out as a group, how do we kindly, without accusing and without like, oh, obviously you're a fucking moron.
Starting conversation.
Have this education that's available because there's nothing to fear, but so many times people feel like they're not familiar with it or they've only seen one kind. Before I started this, I didn't know that there was such a thing as family-friendly drag. I didn't know that. Did you guys go to Halloween in 2019?
No.
Mm-mm.
So Halloween, we had drag, and it was all Disney themed. We had one drag king dress up as Jafar and had this whole bit and lots of dancing. There was another drag king that I don't think I've ever seen so many bedazzly, jewelly sequin things on their outfit, and they danced, you know the crab from Moana?
Yeah,
Have you seen
I do.
Okay.
I've seen that movie.
The Shining!
Oh.
Excuse me. He had this whole crazy, amazing dancing, and there was this one little girl that was standing like 3 feet in front of the rest of the audience, just like, I love all of you, just watching all of their movements and all of their dancing, and it was amazing, but it was drag. It was family-friendly drag. And I don't know how to help explain these things or help show these things. It's the same on Broadway. It's the same on any kind of performance. Anytime you dress up, it's drag. But like you were saying, these reactions are so toxic and so visceral.
And so uninformed. Because, especially the
Unwilling.
stuff with transgender. I'm like,
Right.
I had to tell some of the people I work with, I go, because they started in on the whole transgender thing, and I go, you know that you started out as a girl. Everyone starts out as a girl, and then some people switch over to boys. So how does that not tell you right there that there might be multiple genders? Maybe some people shouldn't have switched over. Maybe some people should have. And it just didn't happen. So then that's what is going on right now. Why can't you look at it like that? Why can't you? Because that is science.
And again, if you support all life, then why can't you be empathetic to that person and wish them a healthy life? No, you gotta make all these laws.
Support all life and mind your own business and support everyone's freedoms to live
Have
a happy
any
life.
of those people met a transgender person?
I doubt it, and my guess would be no. But I'm like, yeah, I don't. Even just trying to explain it, they freaked out. They were like, I'm like, look, somebody has to tell you this stuff. You're running around spouting stuff, and I'm trying to help you not sound so stupid. That was my gift to you.
Right.
Happy birthday!
Right. And can't we also just get it out of the way? other than if you're a couple shady Republicans for the most part, if you want to, someone going into the bathroom is just that they're going in to use the bathroom. There's nothing sexual about it.
That's another thing. I'm like, what do these people think goes on in a bathroom? What? I try to spend, I'm like, I'm there to do my business and get the hell out.
Yeah.
Get back to the party, get back to whatever I've got to do.
Yeah.
No one wants to hang out in a bathroom. It doesn't smell that great in there.
Same people though. You go to that, like, I'm trying to think of, I'll use Bon Jovi as an example, where the men's line isn't so long, but the women's line is,
Hefty.
it's hefty. Yeah. But those same guys who are probably fighting, like, I don't want this person using this bathroom, they have no problem when the girls come running in with their leather skirts going, I need to use this bathroom.
I've done it.
Go, girl.
I've done it. I'm like, I'm not gonna stand in there and do my hair anyway. So I'm just in here to pee and do my business and get out. So I've used the men's bathroom on several occasions.
We're going off topic here. When is Pride this year?
Pride is June 11th and 12th. It's a Saturday and Sunday, and it's from 11 to 8 both days.
Okay. That's why in 2 weeks, because Snow's on vacation next week.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday early.
Thank you.
That's why we need to get Ronnie on.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully Gideon. Hopefully Chris from the Swillers.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have a big powwow. And we'll on that one, I promise we'll keep it lighter. And we'll get into how fun that weekend is going to be.
Well, yeah, because it's going to be all about that, so that we
Just really fast, a quick
it
rundown.
isn't a huge
Rundown for the festival, just in case somebody listening this time maybe doesn't catch it next time. June 11th and 12th, 11 to 8 both days at Metcalf Park here in Kingman. There's a new edition of an activity. It's a bar barista crawl, and instead of a regular bar crawl.
What is that?
So we wanted to make it non-alcoholic friendly. I personally don't drink,
Right.
so I wouldn't be able to participate in a bar crawl. So they get their special cup and their map at the park. It starts at 7 on Saturday, and then they can go to either La Ti Da on Beale. They can actually go to both La Ti Da and Mi Jalisco Lindo. La Ti Da, obviously, they don't have alcoholic options. They have 3 options. You can get it in your special little cup, and they'll give you a stamp or sign your map. And then Jalisco Lindo, the same thing. They do have alcoholic options, but they also have non-alcoholic. And it's the same thing. You get it signed or stamped, and then you bring it to Blackbridge for the after party and the drag show, and you turn it in for a raffle. And right now, I think the prizes are like $1,300 or something in prizes for the raffle.
One.
Why aren't some of there's only 2 places for them to go do the bar crawl, the barista crawl. Why aren't some of these other businesses participating?
That's a great question.
I'm like thinking there are more places down there. Like, where are you at, Floyd's? Where are you at?
Rickety Cricket.
I'm calling them out. Yeah. Rickety Cricket.
More than welcome.
What's the new coffee place?
Liquid?
Liquid, yeah.
That's also owned by Rickety Cricket, so I don't know.
Same ownership, but we're not calling anybody out on it. Well, we are, but we're not.
Well, we're just saying
La Ti Da
participate.
was super happy to participate, and Jalisco Lindo was also super happy to participate. So we're really appreciative of their participation, and it is 18 and up because it ends at Blackbridge. It ends at the drag show. So we just wanted to make it more available for people who either are not drinking, are not of legal age to drink.
Yeah, and Blackbridge does have like sodas and stuff.
Their ginger ale is really yummy.
Oh, good. I haven't had it yet, but
I went to trivia night last week or the week before, and I had their ginger ale. It was really good.
Oh, cool.
Trivia night's always good there.
It was 420. That's when we went, because it was all about weed, and I was like, "Fuck, I don't know any of this."
Well, it's good, because Blackbridge is my favorite, bar in town. So
mine too.
that they're doing that. Yeah, so
They'll also be their beer will also be at Pride.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It was last time.
Yeah, they usually participate in,
Everything.
because they're
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, good for the
Yeah,
We
we
love
really
them.
appreciate them. And Siren. Oh, there's also going to be a big hat brunch on Sunday. And Sirens is catering that.
I like them too.
Nice.
Sirens.
All right.
It's a big hat. So you make like a big hat. or
Ronnie
a
will be
fancy hat?
here, and you can ask Ronnie.
So
'cause
we'll
I
talk
don't
about.
know.
Okay.
We'll wait and talk about that with Ronnie. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
No, that's okay.
All right. All right. Well, yeah, we'll keep that.
I just started thinking of the Kentucky Derby. So
That's what I have in my head when he says it. He's like, "We need room for the hats," and I'm like, "The fuck you mean you need room
Okay.
for the hats?"
Well, and Snow and I are gonna go down, and we're obviously mostly want to participate in seeing everything and everybody. But I think we plan on bringing some of this equipment
I was
down
gonna
there.
say, are you gonna have a booth for the podcast there?
We're thinking about it that for
Do it.
about for time, not for the whole time, but maybe set times during the day, and
Mhm.
anybody that's there wants to tell their story.
That
Give
would
give
be
give their 2
amazing.
cents. Come
Yeah.
on, we'll turn these mics on, or maybe I will just let this thing go, leave the mics going, and just anybody can just freeform. And if we decide to get up and roam around, I'll just leave the
Just
mics
make
going.
a sign that says "Tell your story."
Mhm.
Oh
it
my
would be
God.
it would be good because like a lot of people are interested in the whole podcast thing. Sometimes people are nervous, and I would like to see some of you create your own podcast
Yeah.
so I can listen to yours too.
or they can just do it through us.
I'm
And what
bringing-
they'll realize is,
We might
We're not
discover
experts either.
superstars here.
we used to get so nervous turning these things on and listen to ourselves back, wondering if I fucked up that word. Now we were more relaxed about it. We just turn this thing on and, hey, whatever. Hey, sounds good. Hey,
Well,
positive feedback.
I'm still struggling with the retainer. Okay.
I'm bringing mine back,
Couple more
so I'll have
months.
to have you guys on.
Well, we will do that.
Cool. Yeah.
We'll find a little area to set up in, and
I found
Yeah.
somebody to edit mine because I don't have the bandwidth.
So, if we're going to have like a booth or something, do we just like set up an easy up and a table or something?
Yeah, so you'll bring
Okay.
your own Easy Up, bring your own table, and you'll need your own power source. If you want to purchase electricity, it's $100, like for access to the generator. And the
Wow.
vendor form can be found at
well,
mojavepride.com.
this thing
Okay.
is run on batteries.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So
Is that thing run on batteries?
no, that doesn't. We'll just bypass that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll just come with our recorder.
Yeah.
But
So just in case anybody's wondering, we are still accepting vendors. We don't have a whole lot of room, so just make sure you get your paperwork in ASAP, first come, first serve. And it's mojavepride.com.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
All right, so we'll be sure to sign up there. And we'll end it with this breaking news. Ron DeSantis is outlawing alarm clocks in Florida
what? Tell me more.
because he doesn't want people to be woke.
Oh.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
It's your corny joke.
And on that note, Snow, have a good vacation. Where are you going again?
Belize.
Belize. Where's that?
It is in the Caribbean. I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's in the Caribbean.
First time out of the country in 2 years?
Yes, and first time to Belize. I've obviously never been there before, so I don't know exactly where it's
Right.
at.
Are you coming back, given the state of affairs right now?
I wish I didn't have to, but yeah, I have like 5 more years.
5 more years till
till
retirement.
retirement, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So.
All right, well,
Unfortunately, I have to come back.
people got 5 more years of this podcast then.
Maybe longer. You never know.
Yeah, no, earning that Joe Rogan money, that $100 million a year,
Right.
Till we get canceled.
We'll do it for less than that. Spotify.
Yeah.
We'll do it for less than that.
Spotify, $10 million a year. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We don't need 100 million. We're not greedy.
All right. And on that note, we will see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Bye, Willow.
Bye, Willow.